Welcome, friends and neighbors. The question is, can they make a run back to the next Super Bowl? Take It Back is a new one that Chris Jones, I think, actually came up with. And there's a lot of talk about who's going to push in the AFC this season. Let's get into where the Chiefs stand and all that. Welcome to RGR Football. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and your host here at RGR Football. This is Ryan going rogue. And yes, I know there's a whole team around me these days, but that's the way it started and that's the way it's going to stay. The name of the channel is going to stick, I'm pretty sure. But and I think so much so that Stevie's been, adding on. So thanks, Stevie. If you want to catch Stevie, you can catch him in the memberships. If you're not a member yet, there's all kinds of tiers, anywhere from $4 a month all the way up to the elites like Gooch. You can get in on it. And right now for June, you can have free access to all the extra things that don't come with like the really bottom level levels. Any member gets to hear Stevie and Gooch talk on the Rogue Head Huddle. That's their new show that they came up with. And I think that's kind of fun. You can also get Rogue Life. That's going to be just for the members as well, at least for June. So any membership, it's included free with those. And normally it's one of the upper tiers. I think it's the second tier where you get the extra videos and those kind of things. But I'm really enjoying where they're going with it. So kudos to Stevie and Gooch. I'm sure Gooch will be here later. I see Stevie's all over the place already. So lot to talk about. And I've heard so much the last 24 hours about how the Chiefs are on the ropes now. Look out. Titans are coming for them. We'll get into that. It's very intriguing to see just how far everybody wants to go with it because, let's face it, this would be the take it back season after the run it back season will stretch, I think, what the capabilities are for any team to take that next step forward, continue to reload, continue to get right back in the saddle. That's important because at the end of the day, it can't just be a one and done. You don't want to be that team that goes to the Super Bowl and then has kaput kind of seasons after that. It makes it really, really difficult. It's something that I think not only Andy Reid is prepared for, but so is Patrick Mahomes. So we'll get into that as well as all your questions. If you're new, click the like and the sub and the bell notification because that's how you get more from us. We have content for you all week long. Also have content over at Locked On Chiefs. You can get that on all the podcast platforms, including Spotify, the new Odyssey, all that. And we just started putting Locked On Chiefs back on YouTube. It's not going to be every day right now. It's going to be a couple out of the 5 that we do every week. And it is a daily show. So if you guys missed it or if you're one of those, make sure you check that out. Here's the deal. I'm all for Julio getting, a new lease on life at 32 with a new quarterback. I don't think it necessarily makes them somebody that is ready to bump off the Chiefs. Are they more competitive? Yes, for certain. But I think the way that the Chiefs have dealt with the Titans in the last couple of seasons, I think you can feel fairly confident that, yes, this will be a bigger challenge, but I don't think I see a lot of hyperbole about now they're the odds-on favorite to go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. And I wanted to just put my hand up and say, whoa. There's still this guy wearing 15 in KC. You got to get past him and the rest of his guys. And I mean, I think the league will take a step back when they see the offensive line once it comes together. So I think that's a big deal. Ben Brockbeck, thank you very much. As always, you're always in here early, and I appreciate the support, as do the guys. I didn't hear back from Danilo. I don't know if he'll make it Dan May later, so it might just be you guys and me tonight. So welcome. If you would, I know it's the middle of the offseason. It's where everybody kind of like wants to take a break from football. For me, it's 365. So keep spreading the word, keep getting more folks here on the live streams. I think that's always fun. And this is the place where I can let you know like what's going on with the channel. That brings me to the community tab, especially for you new members. The community tab on the channel homepage, that's where you get all the information about the memberships and about a bit of the content that's in the memberships, the free papers and wallpapers, that is, and things like that, mobile screens and screensavers, all that kind of stuff, as well as each video and each series that comes out. So make sure you check that out. That's a way, because it's not the most efficient way to communicate with the members, other than I post to the community tab, and that's how it is visible to you. So you got to kind of check that out. You should have notifications on. That always helps. The bell is important. And Ben asked a question as well. Do you think that we have enough talented bodies at corner? I don't think talent's the problem. I think experience is the issue. And I don't think that I'm too nervous. They seem very, very confident. Quite frankly, they've gotten good play out of guys that I think most around the league have been unimpressed with the last couple of seasons. Am I a little concerned that Charvarius Ward is like the oldest guy in the room, like the de facto leader of the group? I don't know, maybe. He's a very quiet personality from what I understand. So is L'Jarius Sneed. Like, having somebody that can be the vocal front of that room may be an issue. I don't know if they're going to bring in another veteran. It might not be. I mean, Hughes is there as well, and I know he'll be battling, I think, right now with Fenton for who's going to have the nickel duties. But Mike Hughes is a pretty good veteran as well and has played on some successful teams. So maybe there's a shift there. I don't know. I think it's a really unique group, and I think a lot depends. I mean, we just talked about 4 guys, right? A lot depends on Baker and Bo Pete. And do you think one of the UDFAs can make it? I tend to doubt it, but we'll see what happens when we can actually see them practice. I think the number of bodies is good. I think it's just the experience level. That's where I'm at. But thank you for starting us off, Ben, and I appreciate that. Now I'm scanning through here, you guys, and I wanted to get off the top of the thing because of what this has to be in terms of, it has to be Patrick, it has to be Tyreek. That's like the forefront of the take it back thing. But I do want to answer all your questions tonight, and I'm not seeing a ton. So remember, if you're new, put the question marks at the beginning like you see Ben did here. That helps me pick them out of the chat because I am uber terrible at it. And I scrolled far enough to find Kansas City Chiefs. Thank you very much, as always. And guys, if you want to super chat, feel free. Ben's really supportive, and we appreciate that. Gooch and Stevie, a lot of the regulars are, and we very much appreciate that. It helps me keep the guys going and keep other things coming. But whatever you do, if you choose to do that, whatever the dollar amount, ask a question and let me get you something for it tonight. Tonight's my favorite part because I get to go wherever you guys want to go. So that's what we're going to do. And this is an interesting one because Kansas City Chiefs takes us to Martinez Rankin, one of the guys that's kind of like the lost names on the offensive line group. And that's a very good question. What do you have in him? The league certainly doesn't know because they don't have enough film to really grade him, to tell you the truth. And if they did, it would probably be a little bit low. The question is going to be, what do the Chiefs think that they have with him? I know he got a couple of reps, definitely with the 2s, and I think he got a couple of 1s early on OTAs just to get a look. I don't know if that translates. I don't know when that's going to translate. But the fact that he's there and he's competing, I think, is a good thing. So at the end of the day, it comes down to, can he progress enough to claim one of those backup roles? I mean, he's not unseating Orlando Brown. He's not unseating probably anybody else because the Chiefs seem to want to put him in tackle. I think I like him at guard. Quite frankly, Andy said it again last week. The best 5 will play, and that's what it comes down to it. So here's the thing. If anything, I think the release is the most likely, Kansas City Chiefs, because I don't think he has trade value right now. Now, if he plays in the preseason and looks good or has a dominant game, maybe that goes up and maybe you can do the Parker Inger thing, and it doesn't have to be like a high dollar thing. Anything you can get for one of the backup linemen that you're going to have trouble keeping, I think that's a big plus. So that's where I'm at. Good point. Oh, Aaron is in here. Glad to see you. Our fearless mod is in the house. And we are going to continue through the questions, but give Aaron a hand, will you? Keeps us on the straight and narrow. As well as all you members know how much he does for me and keeping me able to keep answering questions. So thank you. Voodoo. How do Tootie and Long as a guard combo compared to Shields and Waters if Long is at his best? Quite frankly, they're good. They're not Shields and Waters. I would say it's still a pretty far cry. Even if Kyle is back to himself, Will Shields is a Hall of Famer. I don't think you can put him there. And Tooney is very, very good. I've really liked his game for quite a long time. He's a read kind of guy. He's not the strongest dude. You're not going to see him bowl dudes over. He's not going to be cracking the linebackers, with the rear, the back nameplate of the lineman in front of him. Not anything like Waters. Waters was nasty and powerful and could still move. Tooney moves. He's tricky. I think he's got a little nasty in him, but I don't see it on film that much. I mean, I find him very technical and uses his athleticism well, and I think that's very important. I'm not trying to say that that's a negative thing in any way, shape, or form. But I will say this. I don't think you can compare those two yet. Kyle has a ways to go. Tooney has a ways to go. Like if they have longevity, then we can start to talk about that, because that's the other X factor in the Shields Waters routine is they were so good at it for so long, and that goes a long way in the thing as well. Michael Donegan, potential CB cuts at camp. Well, let me go over here and pull up the roster real quick because I can't remember everybody's name off the top of my head. I have to say that this season of all has been a little bit tough for me to keep like the UDFAs straight. I keep wanting to call Marlon character something else. Manny Patterson, I quite frankly have forgotten about him a couple of times when we go down the list. Baker's not going to be a cut. I'll tell you that. Baker might start on PUP though. I don't know if Baker's going to be ready to go. They keep hoping that it's going to be week one, training camp, etc. I'm not convinced. We'll see where that's at. But he is moving on the sidelines at OTAs from what I understand. That's a positive step forward. But I just don't want to count our chickens before they're hatched. So Baker may not be on the field, but he'll be there. He won't be a cut. Bo Pete is going to be, competing. I think that's the truth. Marlon character, I said it right. I think Marlon's going to be interesting. They list him as DB, but from what I understand, he's taking corner reps, and that's what I would expect as well. That's not a surprise to me. Oh man, I'm almost behind already. Good Lord. DiCaprio Boodle from Nebraska. I think a lot of you guys in KC have seen him on TV a lot. I like his game. He's made some plays. He's in for a battle as well. I think Zane Anderson's going to run at safety. I wouldn't call him a corner. Devin Keys is safety. Chris Lammons, I think, is probably mostly safety, but I know they gave him some looks at corner. I don't think there's a whole lot of room for him there. And then Matty Patterson. I got nothing. I haven't seen him play. I haven't seen tape on him at all. So there's a number of guys there. Those are guys that are outside of the Ward, Snead, Fenton, Hughes, Baker list. Those are your top five. Could you see somebody switch? And that's me putting Will Parks as a safety, not a corner. Will can play nickel. I don't know if he's going to. And if they do, I think it's going to be more of like shift down from a safety spot and then, adapt to be a corner in a given set, that kind of thing. Let's see. Stevie's at a game. Good job. Support the fam. I like it. Let's see. Questions. Looking for questions, you guys. There we go. There's Gary. How are you, Gary? It's been a while. Who will start in Breland's spot at the start of the season? Well, assuming now Ward hasn't been out at practice yet. We'll see if he practices tomorrow. I'll be interested to see if he comes back in, or if he's waiting for camp. Now, assuming that he's gonna ride with the tender and he's gonna play out his last year contract, I'm assuming he's one of the starters because he was last season. Snead is the opposite. Snead is the best corner on this roster right now in terms of all around. Now, remember, cornerbacks are probably them and pass rushers probably the most volatile guys in terms of like up and down in their performance. They're the least consistent by the nature of what they do. So while I do think that Snead is the best on this roster, if they go at him continually, if they try to target him, at some point he'll break down and he'll give up a bad game or something like that. That does happen. But I think he and Ward are the guys on the outside right now, followed by Fenton and Hughes on the inside. Now the question mark is going to be Baker. Baker is an outside only guy in my mind. I'd be very interested if they feel that he can play inside at the nickel. So there's not a whole lot there. It then becomes, does Baker push Ward? I don't know that he's going to push Snead out of the way. I think he has capability. I don't see that. I don't see him surpassing Snead. So it will come down eventually to Ward versus Baker possibly. And whether that's this season or next, that's going to be the question. That's what I think right now, barring injury or some kind of other acquisition. If they get to camp and they just feel, hey, there's just not enough. And if Ward holds out for some reason, I don't know why he would do that, but you never know. Aaron says the picture's the worst that you've seen tonight. Okay, well, that's bad. I don't dig that. I don't know. There's much that I can do about it. It looks like that comment was 15 minutes ago, so hopefully it's cleared up. Sorry, man. Julio played defense as well. Yeah, good point. So, I mean, that's what it comes down to with the corners. We'll see who pushes who. Pono Kwai, hope you're doing well out there. The number 2 receiver and the number 2 running back still look questionable. Any potential buyouts you see that may be available? Is Houston and Ingram still available? Yes, Houston and Ingram are still on the market. So I think it comes down to cost, to tell you the truth. And there might be a slight hiccup in Ingram in terms of health. Maybe that's what they're waiting on. I don't know. I think he's most likely right now, given that he's had visits and not been signed. My guess is he's most likely to go back to the Chargers on a really sweetheart deal because he's either hurt or he's just past performance. I still don't feel that the Chiefs are interested in bringing Justin Houston back into the fold. That's just my thought. Wide receiver 2 is a bit of a question, but I think you can see that they have options in Pringle, DeMarcus, and now Powell. I think he'll be in the mix. I don't think Powell's a starter week 1. Dan's really happy with him, and I'm glad Dan's happy with him, but I think it's going to take more than half a season for him to break into the starting lineup if he does. He may not at all this season. All I care about is that you come in and you give them something to go to when they take away Hill and they take away Kelsey. Somebody to push McCole Hardman to perform. That's what I'm looking for. Running back 2 is not really much of a concern to me. Clyde will be the bell cow. I don't know that he's going to get 80% of the snaps, but he's going to get a lot of them. You have McKinnon, you have Darrell. There's your top 3. Then you have Darwin. You still have Elijah McGuire. Who else do they have under contract right now? Let me see if I'm missing anybody. I don't know about Derek Gore is going to be able to break the roster. Elijah McGuire hasn't been to this point. So, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I'm not concerned about number 2. I'm more concerned about making sure that you maximize Clyde in year 2. That's what I would be worried about. Ryan White, nice to see you. When a player like Julio gets traded, how much input does he have where he goes, if any? He has next to zero. He doesn't have a trade clause or anything like that. Now, there's been some question about Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. And the LDT, if he wants to be traded, he would have to waive his trade clause because he has a no trade clause, which means they can't move him without his permission. The opposite is true for Julio. He had no say in it. It's whatever was the best deal for the Falcons. He could not do anything about it. Now, a lot of teams will take into consideration what a guy's looking for. I don't know, and I haven't heard anything about what Fontenot and the Chiefs did. The Atlanta Falcons did, if they took into consideration maybe he wanted to go there. Maybe he liked having AJ on the other side because it creates a duo where they can't automatically roll double coverage to him. So maybe that's what it is. Titans don't even surpass Cleveland with that. That's a fair point. I think in their division, it makes them the winner. But I don't think it does anything in terms of like what the playoff scenarios are. Good point, Avery. Ryan, okay, that's the question we were working on. Gary's next. Will Clemson receiver we drafted will start the game 1 this season? We'll start the start game 1 of the season. No, he will not start game 1. May he start later in the season? Possibly. You never know. Julian, nice to see you. And guys, for the member meetup, we were going to do it tomorrow night. I've had a family thing come up, so we're going to push that back a week. So we're going to do the member Zoom next week with all the regulars. And then we're going to invite a couple folks that I've been wanting to get into the conversation a little bit more. And then we'll make that available to all the other members on replay. So that'll be there. It's not going to happen tomorrow night. I got a kid thing that I got to take care of. So sexy accident. You be careful out there driving cross country from Cali to Kansas. Woo, man, I'm glad you're doing well, though. Just eyes on the road. Let's see. Who is next? Patrick, how are you? With Julio in the AFC now and the possibility to see him twice a year, do you think we have enough on the outside to take care of it? I mean, technically, let's see, they are on the schedule, so they could see them twice, including the playoffs. Yes. That won't necessarily always be true. I can't remember who the next division is going to be in 22. That might roll off where you only have to deal with them once, but you have a good point. I think it comes down to this. I think they'll miss Breeland a little bit. You guys saw my video from on Locked On Chiefs yesterday. Breeland has the physicality to keep up with Julio. I think Snead will be okay. I don't think that Ward can really press and jam Julio successfully without giving up. Like you saw him do late in the season. Like he's good initially, but then the turn is what gets him, and he falls behind a lot. And I think that's going to be a problem. If Baker gets back, Baker's been decent in the jam as well. Hughes has not. So it is a little bit concerning to have both AJ and Julio there. That does make coverage better or more difficult. It puts more of an emphasis on the safety play as well. You have to disguise more. You have to play some interesting zones behind that corner, knowing that he's up against Julio is a tough one. So Julio's going to get his. I mean, let's see if he's all the way back healthy. He missed like half a season last year, so we can kind of hold on to that for now as well. But yeah, I mean, it'll be a challenge, but I think they'll be okay. Samuel, how are you? Everything's going all right for me. I hope you're well as well. What do you think of it will be important besides Mahomes for the Chiefs moving forward to have a Patriot-like run in the NFL? I mean, it's about health, and it's about having a balanced team behind him. He has the weapons. Now we're starting to see where the loss of Sammy is something they're going to have to deal with as things go forward. I do expect the extension for Tyreek. I think he and Mahomes will be together for a long time, and I think it is going to be central to them because Travis is older. And so I think Travis is going to run out of juice before the rest of the trio. They have to get more weapons behind him, but they also have to have balance. If the defense had been a little bit better last season, they might have gotten it done. Now, obviously, the offensive line was the offensive line. You couldn't fix that. There just wasn't enough bodies at that point for backups playing in the Super Bowl. That's a tough one. But I will say, as long as Patrick's contract doesn't cost them getting some valuable free agents from time to time. It doesn't have to be every year, but it has to be time to time. And as long as they continue to draft well, and they have shown that this front office and this scouting staff does a good job, as long as they continue to do that, they're going to be in good shape. That's what it's going to be like. It has to be the foundation behind Patrick so you don't have it crumble underneath him. Let's see. Hey, Natalie, thanks for joining, and hello to Aaron. I like Aaron getting a call out. That's great. Glad you're here, Natalie. Twin, thanks. How about a fantasy question? AJ or Julio? That's the big question. I think right now I would lean AJ because I think now you look at it and you've got Derrick Henry and they want to have an extra guy in the box. Most teams want to walk somebody up. And so I think when you talk about safety play, I think they're going to want most defenses are going to then want to roll a safety over to Julio's side because despite as good as AJ's played, I think they're more scared of Julio just because he's Julio. Is that legit? I don't know. You could make the argument that with the injuries and things, maybe you should be more scared of AJ. But I think in the end, they give the attention to Julio, and that opens AJ up for some one-on-ones that I think he can take advantage of. So my guess is going to be without the tight end's presence, and now with Julio's, I think I'd go AJ. Longmorn, you're funny. Guys, tell me if it's cleared up. I hope that it has. Do you think that the Matthew extension is truly coming, or is Veach just waiting until July, August like he did with the Chiefs? I mean, when I say I think it's coming, that includes July and August. Like, I think they'll get it done during training camp, if not before. It might be a, hey, you're coming in for camp, let's sign this new contract extension before you start practicing. That might just be the way that it rolls. Why do you believe we let Darrell Williams go? He was beloved. Darrell Williams is still on the roster. I'm double checking. Yeah, Darrell's still on the roster. Maybe you mean Damian. Damian, I just think was expensive for what he is, especially when they made the investment in Clyde. They know that that's coming. I think they just wanted to roll with the guys that were a little bit cheaper and see what they can do to put a committee together, whereas Damian wanted to be the lead. I don't know. Maybe the injury thing weighed its weight on his availability, and they were a little concerned about that. I can understand that as well. But Darrell is definitely in the mix right now. I would say Darrell's the backup. So look to see him is my guess. Trey Sudds, thank you very much. Do you feel the same? Do you see the same issue at running back with the lack of veteran experience? Do we need to bring in a veteran? I think you have McKinnon, who's got a lot of experience, and I think you've got Darrell that's been there for quite a while as well. I don't feel that the veteran presence is as needed for a running back as it is for a corner. Corners have to function on their own. They have to function in multiple sets. Running backs have to protect, and they have to take the ball and run to their assigned hole. I mean, especially if they go more power, it's more about going to a gap. Whereas in the zone, you have to pick and choose and have some vision, and there's some skills there. I don't think that it plays as much role on the running back spot. Julian, I think Powell surprised many fans this year with Wharton and Callaway too. I think Boodle and Marlin go to the practice squad. Yeah, that's where I'm leaning as well, especially because I know they both play special teams. Wharton was a big surprise. Callaway, from what I understand, is getting some good reps in OTAs. Callaway's pushing for that wide receiver group. I think Garrett Dieter's in trouble, and if Callaway continues to gain speed, Marcus Kemp might be in trouble too. Could Mahomes be the Sundance Kid? Remember the kid that was great on the move, but miserable standing still. With nobody better than Mahomes, a clean pocket hurt his effectiveness. Not at all. Not at all. If you let him stand in there, it's more likely that he hurts you deep than anything else. No, I do not think that he is the Sundance Kid in any way, shape, or form. I think you guys are going to be pretty happy with what he's able to do with that offensive line. What happens if Orlando, Tony, or both get season-ending injuries? Well, that's the big question, right? You got a lot of money in those guys. You got to have capable backups. Right now, LDT and Wiley are probably your backups inside. Lucas Niang is probably your backup at tackle, whether it's right or left. Now, Wiley can play tackle as well, so you get a little crossover there. Maybe they keep ranking. There's a lot. I think Trey Smith might make this roster too. And it looks like we got Dan too. So we'll see if he wants to argue with me. What's up, man?
Not much. How's it going? I mean, I finally have some semblance of a room going. I don't have anything behind me, but
like the camera's above you. Hey,
it's a little weird, isn't it?
It is a little weird.
Gotta adjust it.
Oh, so folks, he's building the room. It's coming along. It's going to get there.
It is.
How terrible is my video to you?
Yours actually looks really good today.
Okay, well, knock on wood. Folks, I hope it's cleared up. I guess it was pretty putrid before. So, but Samuel, it'll be those backups. And I think the backups are going to be better than they were last year. So if that does happen, they have to step in. I think they're going to be in good shape. Like the ranking question, what does Casey have in Armani Watts?
A special teams player.
I like Armani. I don't know that he makes the roster.
I think he will because he plays special teams. I think that Tobe will be like, yeah, I want this guy because he knows everything about special teams. He plays on most of them. So I think that'll get him on the roster.
I hope so. If it does, they probably have to keep 5 safeties because I think right now Will Parks is repping ahead of him. I think he's got a lot more experience in gay play. So that's my thought, you guys. Low Lip, how are you? Do you feel like the Chiefs became complacent, arrogant last year after the Super Bowl win? I don't. I think they underestimated the Bucs is what a big part of it was.
I don't think they underestimated it. I think they just didn't have the team that could do anything about it.
That's cool.
On offense specifically.
Fair enough.
Five backups playing on the offensive line.
Oh, let's see. Oh, I lost something, you guys. Let me double check, see if there's super chats that I missed. There are, of course. We're going to go back to Joe Jackson because I can't put it on screen, I don't think. Let me double check.
Oh, man.
I know it's the same old story. I do it every
No,
week.
not that. I feel like really good.
Good.
I'm in an office now. Like, this is going to be a nice setup. I'm very excited.
You're not sitting on the floor.
No, man. Those days are done.
So Joe asked, PFF ranked the Chiefs' offensive line as number 7. At the end of the year, do you think the O-line is ranked higher or lower or the same as 7? I think if they stay healthy, I think that's right about there. Could they break the top 5, maybe?
I think 5 is probably the max they'll get to unless they gel like right away. That's the problem. I think it's going to keep them from getting into the higher than 5 because they don't have chemistry. It's an entirely new group. They have to figure some things out.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, we're going to take that off. That was Joe Jackson's question. And James McGregor, thank you very much. Much talk on Julio, but when we play the Titans, I'll be interested to see if the D can succeed defending Henry, as in the 19 AFC Championship game. With some of the players, hold on, I got to make that cell bigger. Some of the players who weren't on the team then, your thoughts? Well, that's exactly what it's for. The balance of the run game versus Julio and AJ,
yeah,
I think is what takes that out. Can the Chiefs leave 7 in the box? I don't know. If they do, they're going to get targeted at Julio a lot.
Yeah, it's going to really come down to the front 4 at this point if they're gelling against the run, because we know that Reed's going to help in that aspect, but if they're not up front able to keep the linebackers clean, they're going to have to kind of flood the box, and that's what's going to end up being keeping Julio and AJ Brown with one-on-ones. That's where you don't want to be.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, James. I think it's going to be interesting, but let's see how they come together as a team too. Both those receivers has been hurt a little bit in the last year, so we'll see. And Russell, thank you very much. Glad you're here. Which player on the bubble makes the biggest impact if they pop off? Of the ones you listed, for me, it's Tim Ward.
He's the exact guy I was thinking of in this list before I talk about the list, because they don't have a set in stone, other edge outside of possible Chris Jones, Mike Dana type. So if he pops off, becomes something that they didn't exactly expect as UDFA, that would be perfect.
Yeah, I agree. Don't get me wrong, DoD doesn't have a huge stack in front of him, but Ward also has one of the bigger opportunities in terms of not a ton of guys lining up for reps. So, yeah. But I don't think DoD has the capability to do what they need him to do. Pono, interesting question. Do you bring in Sherman for his leadership qualities and smarts? I don't think. I assume you mean Richard Sherman, because I don't think Anthony's coming back.
No.
Here's the thing. I know that Richard can play press if he has to, but he's way better at zone. He's way better playing off zone in particular, and I don't think that that's what Spags wants to do.
And that's where his smarts actually come in, is playing off zone. Right. It's not playing press man, which Spags clearly wants to do more of. He doesn't want to shy away from it too much. So it doesn't make much sense scheme-wise, in my opinion.
I will say this, though. If he comes to the Woodson conclusion where he's ready to be a safety,
yeah, we'll bring him in.
Right. I'll put him back there in a heartbeat.
Yep. Safeties all day.
Contra Barona, I'm not sure what your question was. It got skipped as I didn't scroll fast enough. So hit me again lower here. Preacher says, yeah, that I'm pretty fuzzy. There is a plan, you guys. It looks like I'm going to have to move to get it done. So I'm considering that as well. The fiber that was supposed to be coming to my house has had a setback with their governmental petition, and I don't know what's going on. I'm a host. I might as well send smoke signals most days. If it gets really bad, I'll just start doing lives from my phone, and we'll just have to yak. It'll be bad. Avery, who are the forgotten, unsung keys to the team on both sides of the ball? For me, it's Fenton on defense and maybe Williams or McKinnon on offense. Ooh, guys that are underrated that could be big role players.
So I 100% agree with Fenton. That's and I know you're not going to like it, but if Ben Neiman makes the roster and can actually take a step forward, use his mental acuity to his advantage, like they talked about for the last 2 years, he could make a very good impact at linebacker, because they need somebody he's probably going to be out there in nickel and dime packages. He still probably will be playing that. So he could make a big impact if he starts to put it together. And on offense, I mean, a forgotten person at this point. The only guy really would be Thompson, but I don't see him playing much, especially if McKinnon makes the roster.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I will say this. You guys probably aren't going to like it. Ben Neiman will make this roster. I all but guarantee you that. And I will say this. I think that he kind of bulked up a little bit last year to try to take on the run a little bit better. I think it hurt him. If he comes in lighter and he can move again like he did 2 years ago, he might be serviceable.
Let's hope so.
Knock on wood. Ben, thank you again. As always, I appreciate that. I'm sure you have a question below. I'll try not to skip it.
My fancy coasters.
Ooh, look at you.
They're all metal.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Even I can't.
They're stone. Sorry, they're stone. They're fancy.
Stevie, I would love it if you could bribe the ISPs. The only problem is there's only one in my area. That's the problem. Unfortunate. Until somebody brings in some competition, that's why it sucks. But I live up here where I see more deer than people on a given day, and I kind of like that. So it's a trade-off. Natalie, Titans have Julio, but Tannehill's good enough quarterback to utilize his skills? Absolutely.
Ryan Tannehill is the perfect fit for that offense. I don't know if people really understand. He's not going to be like a Mahomes type, but efficiency, run first, get him into wide open play action passes. He's literally perfect for it. Julio is going to be finding one-on-ones because there's still going to be some attention on AJ Brown. Tannehill's going to have a very nice, efficient season.
See, and that's what it comes down to for me too. I see people complaining. I've heard nothing but this since Sunday. That Tannehill doesn't have the arm to make Julio happy because Julio wants the deep ball. Julio doesn't need the deep ball.
No.
That's what he's got other guys for. He wants to get the ball, period. He'll run slants. He'll run digs. He'll destroy over the middle. That's what he's going to be.
He's going to run so many digs. Defenses are going to be just like so fed up with it. He's going to run so many. He's going to get 20 yards a pop.
And efficiency is exactly it. As long as he gets the ball, he will be happy. Because no matter what, much like AJ, I mean, this comparison is going to gain steam as they go together. Right? Contact does not scare Julio. So he will take the ball. He will let you bounce off of him. Then he will make yardage. So I'm all for that. Was DeAndre's injury a Prescott type break? Sounds like no. Prescott was lower leg, ankle area. What he did is Baker snapped the head off the ball on the bottom end of his femur off. That's something that people die from in car crashes because it allows a lot of blood to release. So that was a scary injury. The Chiefs underplayed how serious that was.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah, that was significant. Rank the AFC West safeties. We can't list all the guys that are in Las Vegas, but we'll try these three. Go ahead, Dan.
So I would have Matthew at 1. Derwin is not far behind him. He's very close. And then I would have Simmons. And this is like a very close race. These are 3 great safeties. But a fully healthy Derwin James, we haven't even seen him at his peak yet. I think if he stays healthy for the next 5 years, he's going to take over that spot from Matthew, in my opinion. I believe he's that good and that physically gifted.
He is physically gifted if he's healthy. I see it in this order because I don't see him when he has been healthy. He hasn't made as much play on the ball. I think he is kind of like, I think he's more comfortable closer to line of scrimmage, whereas these guys are both more comfortable in space. And I think right now in the league, you get more opportunity to change the scope of a game in space.
I see that. The way I really look at it for Derwin is he can actually take out almost every tight end of the NFL.
True.
All of them. He can take out Travis Kelce. He effectively has.
He's the only one.
The only guy that can do it. So that's really what it comes down to. I know that he's probably more comfortable playing in the box, but I know that he can play in coverage as well. And I think that we haven't been able to see that a whole lot because he's been hurt. And that's really what's taken away from it in my mind.
I look forward to Veach making him a reclamation project in a couple of years.
Please. Unfortunately, I think he's going to stay in
I don't know.
For a while.
We prove he can stay healthy, and then we'll see.
Well, if he doesn't, he can be cheaper.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if he gets hurt again, he might be out of there. Oh, Ryan White, I really like DeAndre Baker coming out. He didn't give up a single touchdown in college. Why hasn't he translated to yet scheme maturity? Yeah, I mean, he's a tweener. He wants to play physical like a man corner, but he doesn't have the speed for it. He doesn't have the. Well, yeah, he's a little bit undersized. It's not even the speed. I always say that, and I shouldn't say that. It's his feet. Yeah. He doesn't transition as quickly as he needs to play man consecutively in the league. And part of it has been seen because they haven't protected him like that. Remember when they let Travaris get up in guys' faces because he's more comfortable in contact? Yeah. Like, I didn't see the Giants do that for him. They tried to make him play their scheme.
I mean, didn't he just have 1 year too? Like he played 1 year. It's hard to translate anything from college to the NFL in 1 year.
Yeah. And there's certainly a maturity issue. We know about his off-field stuff. I don't know the details. We'll see what happens. Ben, here's your question. I'm glad you put it in there. What depth do we have at linebacker?
Ben Niemann.
Right. I mean, and that's assuming that Nick Bolton's ahead of him. I'm not sure that's the case because right now Ben Niemann can call the defense. Hutch gets hurt. Hutch, sorry, wrong guy. If Hitch goes down, Ben Niemann can go call the defense.
There's always Colin Saunders.
There is always Colin Saunders. Dude, I'm not even kidding. God, speaking of Derrick Henry comes to town, I want Colin standing up.
Linebacker.
Yes. Good Lord.
That's hilarious.
But no, that's the big question, Ben, is you have Nick trying to get in there somewhere between Willie, who should be a starter, and Ben. The problem is that Ben needs to be a middle, and so does Nick. So that's a little bit of a problem. Yeah. Beyond those four, though, you have DAOD to play special teams, and that's about all you got.
Yeah,
I'm not huge on Harris or Cobb. Are you?
No, they're both. I mean, we saw Harris and Cobb in a game and a half last year. They were very underwhelming, and a lot of it has to do with the speed of the game was very apparent. Yeah. That they weren't there yet, and that's a problem for depth linebackers because if they're on the field, guess what? You got nobody else. It's not good. It's
a little scary.
That's why you see the Chiefs take a linebacker second round 2 years in a row.
And I know exactly what Danilo would be saying. That Riley's going to jump in there. This is a stretch. Maybe into the special teams role. Getting on the defense, I'm not so sure of. So, and folks, I don't know if Danilo's in the chat or not. I tried to ping him this week or yesterday, but I didn't get him. So we'll see. If he is, Danilo, we'll hook up and we'll do another stream. There's Jeff. Okay, so he says I'm looking normal. Okay. My camera is excellent, you guys. It's my internet. So nothing I can do about it. Aaron, if you want to learn more about the rookies coming, please go to, there you go. If you'd like to check out the Matrix, that code is still available at Matrix 20. And that's a good one. I think you guys will dig it, and you'll find a couple of Chiefs in there. It's good for all the other ones, too. You want to see your guys at the top? Go look at last year's draft class where Willie was number one and so was Sneak. Peter Schrager reported the Chiefs weren't even interested in Julio. Have you heard this? I heard the same thing. I heard they made the basic call, but it didn't go much beyond that. They didn't make an offer, is what I understand. But
it's pretty much exactly how I assumed it would go. Like they didn't have the cash necessary right now to get it done, according to those reports as well. Which, if you're trying to get a Matthew contract done, you don't want to rush it, especially if you're trying to figure out how long you want to get that deal for. You know, the numbers in of itself, since they hadn't talked about it up until now anyway, you're not going to rush that trying to get someone else signed that you clearly weren't that interested in bringing in anyway.
Yeah, you're right. And hey, not everybody can have everybody. Would it have been fun? I think so.
Yeah.
But
it would have been the most. Everyone would have lost their minds. The whole "how do they keep doing this" meme would have been everywhere. Like that's what it would have been. Getting away with it or something like that.
That's what I'm going to do. One of the new shirts is going to be 177.
That's exactly what it should be.
Nathan, good question. Defenses now versus defenses of old. What's your take? Why do you think it's harder to defend now? Because they have to have real skill, or do you think the NFL took a step back and it's easier? I think the NFL wanted to score more points, and they lessened the rules in favor of the offense. The quarterback hits, the defenseless receiver rules, all these things 20 years ago is what kept defenses in it because you could intimidate. You could make guys not want to run their routes.
It's so hard to play defense now. The whole pass interference is the dumbest call in all sports. It's the dumbest thing. It's a free 15 yards or spot foul, which is even worse. It should all just be defensive holding and 5 yards. Like that's what it should be.
Yeah.
That's it.
I agree with you. Why not be physical? Let's let them be physical. Like, I mean, if you do one of those things, if you hit above the head or you hit below the knees downfield, then you're spot foul. I'm with you. Let's do something to give the defense some kind of edge to come back.
Chance. Right. There is zero fighting chance. You have to be technically perfect on defense in the NFL, especially at corner, to be able to play. It's absurd.
Yeah. And quite frankly, the other thing is the volume of passing now makes athleticism 10 times more important than it was 20 years ago.
Linebacker still has not caught up. It's taking a while for it to catch up.
Yeah. It's tough. The game changes faster than the athletes that play it do. Robbie, good question. I keep hearing people down on Hardman. Do you guys think that it's possible for him to have a good year, maybe not break out, but feel like he can find his position and more of a bigger role? I certainly hope so.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a breakdown of Hardman after I finally get done with Trey Smith, which will be done this week. I'll have that for you guys this week. Nice. And I'm going to get back into Chiefs film. It's going to be very nice. I'm going to actually get to watch all 22 from all of the games, and I'm going to do a Hardman breakdown. And I'm going to tell you now that I believe that his spot is in the slot in the NFL. So that's going to take a little bit away from him. But again, if you can succeed a little bit on the outside, that makes your reps in the slot even more important and better.
Yeah. And I have some clips too. Like I was putting together a highlight film reel, not like the highlights, but highlights of the film that we've already done. We'll put that up a week or two after you do yours, and we'll compare. And maybe that'll show us progression, because I think that's the key. Is he needs to progress still. If he does that, he could carve out a serious role.
Yeah,
I'm pulling for him. I'll tell you that.
I think we all are.
Now we get announcements from Steve, the coaches of the house. All right,
you guys are best friends, aren't you?
warm up your index fingers. Good Lord. At least I hope that's the way that it's working. Did you hear about the reports that Drew Lock had a horrific day at practice? Is that different from the other days?
I was about to say, that's like a Drew Lock everyday thing.
Seems like they might have really messed up passing on fields. I completely agree. I mean, I think George Patton is a quality executive in the NFL. I think he had an opportunity to do something there, and he panicked a little bit. I think the prospect of trying to wrangle Aaron Rodgers away from the Packers.
Exactly. No, this was John Elway.
I'm not so sure. From what I hear around town, it was not that way.
Because it was so fast. That he wanted like his Peyton Manning type thing. He's like, it worked before. I can do it again. The little lingering of Aaron Rodgers was like, if I draft Justin Fields and we get Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to have to trade away Justin Fields. And essentially, I'm not a. They should have just drafted Justin Fields and been like, guess what, guys? We're going to compete in the AFC West, because we don't even know what Aaron Rodgers is going to be. I don't think the Packers are going to trade him. I think he's going to retire, or he's going to play this year. I think that's what's going to happen.
The only place you're going to see Aaron Rodgers might just be Jeopardy.
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't know.
Granted, I heard Ryan Bollock did a great job at Jeopardy, so I'm interested to see that. But again, I think the Packers are going to play hardball as long as Aaron wants to.
Yeah, mine's wicked smart, by the way.
Oh, yeah, she's very, very smart.
I do want to say this, though. From what I've heard around town, the way that it came out, it was a time thing. And the way I understood it, it was Peyton calling Elway to get some approvals, not driven the other way. But I think at the end of the day, since then, every day since then, I'm sure it's been the other way.
Well, yeah, since then, they have no choice. They got Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, granted, Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the starting quarterback. So,
Remmers will be on the depth chart above Wiley,
as it should be.
Yeah, and that's okay. I think Wiley's better in a guard. Jeff said, I'm looking into attending a Packers game. Wife is a Packers fan. Hoping we can make that happen. Rock on. Is it at home this year?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I was going to say, because I have some Packer fans that I could reach out to you if it was there, but I think it's in KC.
Yeah, I'll be going to the Chiefs-Bills game.
Will you?
On Sunday night. I will be. I've already got my tickets.
That's nice to hear, Cole. Gooch, Stevie, you guys are doing a good job. Well done. I think the response has been great, and I hope you members like that. And folks, anybody can join the memberships just for a month if you want. Just jump in there. And right now we're giving it to every level member. So just click the join button over there. It'll give you a list of options of all the tiers, and just do whatever you want. Can Patrick restructure every year to benefit the team? Yes, Pono, he absolutely can. They built it that way because the roster bonus is what it is. You can convert that and it gives you space. He gets all of his money all at once. So for him, it's like, well, why wouldn't I take a $30 million payday every year? But that's the way they designed it, knowing that they were going to have this growth factor. And if what the pundits are saying is correct, Joel Corey's been adamant about this, and I've heard some confirmation from some other guys that follow the Cat very closely, is that we could be looking at like 240, 250 next year and 290 or 300 in 23. So not a problem with Patrick's contract after that.
It was a great time to get it done. And I think the Chiefs definitely knew that even though this COVID year was coming, guess what? They had to get it done.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And good point, Aaron. Thank you. I'm glad there's like almost 350 of us in here tonight. Glad to see you guys. If you would hit the thumbs up, that always helps us. And honestly, helps us reach other Chiefs fans that are like, what's YouTube? It's funny how people find that.
Just randomness.
And Cole's going with the Irish red from Boulevard. Nice choice. I'm still trying to get a little bit smaller. It's not going that great, so I'm not drinking beer. Thomas, good question. If Creed starts at center, how comfortable are you with Niang also starting? I'd like to see Creed get comfortable before adding another rookie. I don't think it matters. I think they're individual, and quite frankly, as long as Creed can make the calls, it's up to like, can you get the blocks accomplished for me?
Yeah. If Niang wins the starting job, that's exactly what you want. That's all that matters. If he wins it, then I'm fine. If he doesn't, then no, I don't want him starting. I want Remmers in there until he gets up to speed. Creed is gonna be fine. He's been calling plays and calling everything for the last 3 years in Oklahoma. He's gonna be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be a couple teams that are gonna really push him.
Yeah,
you're gonna see some teams really jumble around their fronts. You're gonna see NASCAR out of a couple teams they're gonna face this year. That's gonna be a challenge. But I don't think Creed affects Niang. Again, if Niang's better, Remmers roll with it. Gary, how do you feel like the defensive line will do as far as sacks this year? I think as a unit, they're going to pick it up from last season.
Everything. Yep. That's exactly what I'm hoping for. And I don't think we're going to see the year of D Ford and Justin Houston ever again. They were all over the quarterback, but that's kind of in the past because of the way that Spags likes his defensive ends. He prefers more bigger guys.
Well, and after that season, that's when Tom Brady was getting down to like 2.24 seconds to get the ball out, and the whole league adopted that. Yep. It's harder to rush effectively from the edges these days. Yeah, that's why Christian Jaron Reed are going to make a big difference.
It's going to be fun. I can tell you that much.
Holly, thank you for the support as always. And I like your avatar. You're waiting on that game too.
I think we all kind of are hoping that's how it's going to be.
Right? Now that Julio has been traded, what do you think is the next big NFL news will be, if anything? I mean, tomorrow Aaron's going to become a fined non-show at minicamp for the Packers. That'll be a huge story tomorrow.
I'm interested to see if he's actually going to be fined or if they're not going to make it excused.
They can.
They could do that and maybe say, hey, okay, look, Aaron, we're sorry. We're sorry. Here's some of that money back. We were going to fine you, but we're not going to do that because we want you at OTAs.
It seems like a very un-Packers thing to do.
I hope they fine him. I really hope they do. That way we can just be like, okay, either he's playing with Green Bay or he's going to retire.
Right. Baltimore likes you at the news desk. I like that. Thank you, Holly.
Very nice. I had to build it myself.
Right. That's the worst part, right?
It's awful.
Yeah. Oof.
I'm still all the way done.
Yes, become the member if you want to get all the inside stuff, all the juicy bits that I can't cuss on open forums because I don't like to do that. Kids watch this show, so hey, including my nieces, go to bed. Picture, hey, I don't care. Go to bed. Picture's good. Okay, good. That's great. Now matches the sound of the content. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Have we heard any timetable on LDT joining? No, that's the big question. Could he show up tomorrow when they practice? Could be. I don't know. The beat reporters won't see anything until Thursday, so it'll be up to the Chiefs to tell us. Yeah. And I flew this on Locked On Chiefs last week. I think there could be a twist there because, like if you've been watching the NHL playoffs, Like, it's still quarantine when you go to Canada. So if LDT came down for OTAs and minicamp and then tried to go home, he'd be in quarantine for 2 weeks. So it may be excused, and they're just not telling us that. I don't know.
The whole bench, there's a travel ban in Canada too. So I don't even know when that has been extended to. I know that they did extend it, and that's why he wasn't, at least for the assumption was that he wasn't at voluntary OTAs because of the travel ban. I don't know what's going on with that. Whether they lift it for him, make an exception, that's all going to be just kind of.
They just made an exception for the Canadiens to play their game.
Okay.
So maybe they'll start modifying a little bit. I don't know.
That'd be nice.
I could just be guessing, right?
That's all we're doing, right?
Yeah, I mean, because there's always that. Because the response would then be, "Well, come down for minicamp like you're supposed to, and you just don't get to go home for your July vacation."
Yeah, exactly.
That'd suck, but
make your family come down,
right? Keaton, I think we're all feeling pretty good. It's going to be what it is. I think the depth in the rotation is what we're going to see a little bit more of this year.
I thought you were talking about like a 20-game regular season. I'm like, no. Okay. But,
he's talking about a Super Bowl run.
Yeah, no, I think they'll be all right. Andy will manage it as he always does.
If the skill positions come out, are Hill, Kelsey, Powell, Hardman, Gray, Callaway, Edwards, Allaire, and McKinnon, Darrell, and Will. Okay. I feel like that's not the question part, but yes, I think that could all happen.
Yeah, I think we did unfortunately miss the whole question there.
I think the interesting part that you put in there, though, Julian, is Callaway.
I'm actually not
things.
sold he's going to make the roster, but
right, like I wasn't either. I heard from 2 people last week that they think he's getting more reps this week. We'll see what happens. Ben, that's how I feel right now. Is I think Parks will be the safety for. We'll see.
Yeah. Go for it.
Congratulations to Mike Daniel, 6-month member. Welcome. I'm glad, and I'm sorry somehow I missed your question. But let me say, so I started a Discord for fans. If anyone interested can email me at Mike Daniel. Guys, check that out. Mike, I'd love to get with you because I want to start an RGR Discord, and I can't figure out how. I just don't have the time to like prop up my own server here at the house, and you guys know how my internet is. I ain't doing that. But if you have an idea, I'd love for you to reach out to me. Aaron can tell you how to get a hold of me too. That would be very, very appreciative. E-Turn, can you explain why it matters if you miss on draft picks if you get undrafted guys that are pretty good? Does it matter if they are second round or UDFA? Either way, you get a young player. That's a fair argument to make. The question becomes is what did you miss out on?
Who was around? I mean, and if we're talking about picks versus UDFAs, you're still investing capital into them. And these UDFA guys are all based off of essentially guaranteed money that you're giving them, and that's where they sign. You get these picks every year. So if you're just comparing picks across the board, it doesn't matter where they are, then that's fine. But again, picks do have a certain value assigned to them. And again, like people talk about DK Metcalf in terms of him and McCole Hardman all the time. I tend not to do that because I refuse to try to look in the past of what could be around. But if you're comparing a straight across like that, there is value in those guys because UDFAs very rarely, very, very, very rarely, if at all, ever turn into bona fide studs. And chances are better for day 1 and day 2 guys to do that.
I mean, it's all chance.
Yeah,
you're giving yourself the best chance in the rounds. But yes, I mean, like Tershawn Wharton is going to be a value.
Yeah, exactly. But that's going to happen once every 5, 6, 7 years, maybe. Right.
I mean, in part of that chance they took on Snead in the 4th.
Yeah.
They're going to save in the course of his contract. They're going to save roughly $14 million if they had taken him 2 rounds before. So that's the way it does come down. But you're right. In the end, you end up getting a quality player. It's longevity and what did you miss by spending that pick on someone who didn't work out. So, okay, and here's Julian's question. With the list above, do they have a shot to break Peyton Manning's season? Yeah, possibly.
It's going to get broken this year, in my opinion, but I don't think it's going to be Mahomes doing it.
I think you're going to see a lot of teams try to play the Chiefs the way that the Bucs did and play a lot of 3 deep. And try to keep everything in front of them, and that may limit some things. Although that may limit scores, not yardage. So maybe that's part of it could come in.
I can see that. I think this is going to be the Clyde Edwards-Helaire year. I think he's going to be close to 2,000 total yards. because of what defenses are going to adapt to do. And that's really what it comes down to for this offense to keep being better, is if they can do that with Clyde on the ground and through the air, that's going to force defenses to pick and choose. Because if you can stay back like the Bucs did and not have to worry so much about Mahomes handing the ball off, guess what? You're going to see those yardages come down. But if you can punish those teams with running the football, that's where it doesn't matter. The offense will be able to do whatever it wants to do.
And you do that a couple of weeks,
Yep.
and you're going to pull defenses back down.
Yep.
And that's the key.
Or they just say, we don't care.
Right, yeah, and eat them up for yardage and go for it. Kansas City Chiefs, we'll probably get back into the guys that might come out later. Right now, we got to move forward and take a look at the class that's here. But any Nebraska CB is usually on my list because my wife's a Husker, so I will definitely see them. And Dan still has a soft place in his heart for Nebraska.
A little one. That's carved out there a little bit.
Lucas, yes, Willie will be one of the starters next to Hitch. Gooch is here. Love the idea of smoke signals. Thanks, Gooch. And the Commodore's Vic 20. Man, you're making me feel old. That's even before my time. Good Lord, dude. Woo! But thanks, Gooch, and I appreciate it. Again, folks, you want to listen to Gooch. He and Stevie do a great job on Rogue Head Huddle. That just came out last night. I'm trying to give you guys the member videos, some on the weekend, so that you have something to do when you're, laying around the lake or whatever and want something to hear. That's what I tried to do. And of course, the next super chat is Gooch. It's an 8-bit computer. Thank you very much. Yeah, it is to computers what Roblox is to life. Avery, do we know the Titans' offensive tendencies and behaviors will be? I think people forget that Arthur is gone and a new OC in the same offensive scheme can be drastically different. That's very true. Do you agree? Do you think they force it to Julio 10 times a game, hon?
On the floor.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of, there we go.
It is. She's saying the fist will be 5 times to Julio per game. No, you're right, Avery. And I think any offensive coordinator in this league is going to be able to adapt a little bit. I think the question is going to be about achieving balance. I hope that they stick with their tradition and just run the ball first and come off of that. Don't force it to Julio early, because I think, especially the first few games, teams are just going to be waiting to jump it as much as they possibly can.
Yeah, the offensive coordinator was actually the offensive coordinator of the Raiders, I believe, in 2017, and they were one of the slowest offenses in terms of pace in the NFL. Mm-hmm. It drew them to a slack, so they might actually be a much slower offense this year. They were one of the more the highest pace offense in top 10 in pace last year, I believe, under Arthur Smith. So that's actually, I'm going to be very interested to see how that turns out, because we don't really know what's going to happen with offensive tendencies with new offensive coordinators. It could be less efficient. It could be, the same. It could do anything. So I'm very interested to see that myself.
Yeah, I am too. It's going to be, it's a challenge, I think, to balance that, but we'll see how they come out. Hi, Dan. And Gooch said, "Let's go." Thank you, Gooch. We are definitely going there. I like how you come in here. You were in here at 5:47, and it's yeah, right. Yeah. And I know we are over time. Dang, I did it again. Okay, I'm trying, you guys. No, there's no official word on LDT. Will Patrick, Doctor Who, good question. Will Patrick finally catch a pass from Kelsey this season?
Won't be from Kelsey.
Not from Kelsey. No.
Maybe we can make Chris Jones do it.
Yeah, hey, I'm at this point, why not? I just, the only thing I'm scared about is putting Patrick out in a pattern. So
yeah, I don't think they're going to do that again.
Jeff, who do you like for our 5 DBs on the field when it's 3rd and long? Tyron, Juan, Dan, Snead, and Ward. That's my guess. You could switch out Dan for nickel if that's their personnel pack, but
Thornhill will be out there too. Just
did I not say Thornhill?
You did not say Thornhill.
Okay, so 3 safeties and 2 corners was my initial answer.
Yeah.
Evidently, I'm bad with names today. The preachers of Hell County. How are you? When Dan's gonna
trust me, my wife is gonna do the whole thing. Promise. I've got stuff sitting over there on the ground. Like, this is one thing that I will be putting up. If my computer chair will let me get up.
You have a computer chair. I just have a stool over here.
This is going up.
Oh.
This is a very nice metal
Oh, cool.
Football, which was made for me about 5 years ago. So that's going to go up. I've got a ton of stuff. It's all going to be going up.
Rock on. And yes, Hell County, there's plenty of competition in the secondary. I think in lieu of having the veteran in the corner, I think they've brought in a lot of young competition and let them beat the snot out of each other to see who wins. Xanax, truth is, when everybody goes out to eat, the bills always come. Okay, I like that. Spending salary, Chiefs are going to go right away instead of. Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. Is you can't really see down the line to be able to spend that much. Good for that. Andrew Booth Jr. in the first round of the NFL. I have no idea. I don't know his name yet. You guys, I start paying attention to college guys in about October.
If I'm lucky.
Right. I will say this, though. It's a sad day for KU football. Just when you start to get a little momentum, the coach blows himself up, and now Prunty's leaving. So for you Kansas fans, I'm sorry. That kind of sucks. I think Hardman's ceiling for stats, his highest is 1,500 yards. Do you agree? Ooh, I think you're being generous.
I believe so. You're already looking at probably 15 for both Kelsey and Hill. I don't think they're going to sustain another 1,500-yard player. I would cap it at 12. Cap. Very, very most.
I'll be honest. I'll just be happy if he ever broke 1,000.
Yeah,
that would be a success in my head.
Me too.
Holly, you're not wrong. I told those guys initially, hey, 30 minutes will cover it. And now the last one was like 90, I think.
Oh, my, guys. Oh, my.
I can't live up to that for it. So, you didn't miss it yet, Metal. I had to push it back because of my family stuff. I do have everybody's email that I believe I need. If anybody joins the All Pros or Elites this week, make sure you hit me with your email address. You can DM me on Twitter or Instagram as well with that so that I can contact you when we meet. Let's see. They're not going to be trading CEH anytime soon. I'll tell you that. I'm judging by your handle that you're into trading. So, yeah. Claude, good question. And I like his outlook. I think he's fighting with Fenton for reps. I think he'll be in the top 4 of the corners.
Yeah. I think he's definitely going to play more slot. That might make him more one-dimensional because I think Fenton has outside versatility to him just because he can play a little bit more physically. But I like Hughes. I think that he could definitely see quite a bit of snaps in the slot with Fenton to kind of going back and forth this year.
Yeah. Thank you, Claude. And J-Lo, not that J-Lo. I'm glad that you enjoyed the content. I haven't heard a peep about Kelechi. I know that he was working out and he looked healthier. I just, if he's healthy enough to sign with the team, I'm guessing he wants to play. And right now, I don't think there's a spot for him.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I know this is no offense to Assembly, but I think that Kyle Long at his peak is a better guard. And I think that he's only really played on the left side in his career.
Right.
So Thuney has that locked down for the next 5 years.
Yeah. Although, man, 6 linemen.
Yeah. No, trust me.
Him and Trey Smith is 6 and 7 will never throw again.
No, they'll just run the football. Let Mahomes run it behind that offensive line.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? That's a good point, Stevie. I will work on those.
Ooh, mugs.
I might be able to get you your mugs on mugs. Did you see what I just did there? Yeah, I'm into dad jokes tonight, I guess.
Oh God, it's funny because I'm a dad now, so I laughed at that pretty hard.
Right? Yeah.
Harder than I should have.
Funny how that happens, right? If the rest of the NFL tried to play a ball like KC and the Bucs did, with the new O-line, would it be the biggest benefactor, Mahomes himself, or the wide receiver group, or the running backs? I mean, if they want to play 7 out there and just bring 4, I think Clyde's the guy that is going to have the most to eat.
Yeah, I think we saw in the Week 6 game against the Bills what happens when you just decide to play back. If the offensive line gets something going, granted that was a much less front that they had to deal with. But again, it's kind of the idea that you're seeing. And the Chiefs took it. Like, they're one of them have him run 27 times.
Yeah.
No big deal.
I'm all for it. Ben, I won't say Westbrook. There's some tendencies there. Like, if they feed him enough, he could get to that realm. But Westbrook's an individual, and I think CH is different. I think he'll become his own player. I will say this: when we look back in a few years, he could be a guy that you put in that same category.
Yeah, I would think that's pretty.
Or shady at his best too. Holly, thank you much. Super chatting on Gooch's behalf now. Okay. Yeah. Don't make that a habit. He likes to pull the trigger. It's okay.
I was about to say he's going to get riled up now.
Right. Evan, nothing specific. I'm still waiting. I think it's coming. We're going to wrap it up here, folks. We got a couple super chats and we will turn it loose. Natalie, thank you for encouraging Hology, for encouraging Gooch. You guys are making this like a cascade effect in here. I like it. Oh, then of course the next one is Gates Foster, Romo Welker, Chris Harris, Cam Wake, Bart Scott, Brian Waters, Jeff Saturday, all UDFAs, just to name a few.
Yeah, that was right. Yeah. Every 5 or 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, there's 10 out of what? Probably 100 every year. So yeah, it's tough. More power to anybody. I mean, and you left off Hines Ward, bro. I mean, come on.
Probably the best of all of them.
Right.
Probably
like
Jeff Saturday.
When they hit, they hit.
Gates, yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
I like that. Stevie, we're going to have to talk licensing about putting your faces on a mug because, I mean, that's all up to you guys. I wouldn't do that with my face. That's why I made the Trooper logo. You guys can have that instead of my actual face. Harrison, London, Fletcher, Vinatieri, very good, Gooch. I like how you're breaking this up, Gooch. Now Priest Holmes and Kurt Warner. Okay. I thought Priest got drafted, actually.
I thought he did too.
Gooch would know better than me.
He was UDFA from the Ravens, I think, actually.
Right. He was signed on the second team. You guys, that is my weak point, and that's why Gooch and Stevie do a good job because I am not a historian. I don't remember the little things, you know?
It's just, I'm 29 years old, and I honestly have no want to go look at the dark days of the Chiefs.
Dude, I was drinking legal when you were born.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucked it. Oh, man, I am old. Good Lord. We're going to have to talk about that off air. How much do you think Baker's injury will impact his play this season? What's your evaluation of him in New York?
So I think that Baker, if he plays this year, which, again, if he's on the field this week, I think he's going to be ready to play, at least contribute week 1. That would be the trajectory. If he's not, I think maybe halfway through the season is when we might see him on the field a little bit. And if it's as clean as it was supposed to have been, like they're optimistic about his recovery, I don't think it'll impact it all that much. But again, he was kind of put in a bad spot in New York, a defense that didn't use his skill set very well. And I think you could see that on tape very easily. And then just it kind of derailed from there, off-field issues, and just mentally, I don't think he really was there.
Yeah, I can get down with that. The question for me is going to be the injury. I mean, it is gargantuan to try to get stability back out of that. It takes a lot of rehab to get your musculature back from an injury like that. It'll definitely impact him this year. Whatever you see, if he gets on the field this year, whatever you see, it's not 100% of what Baker can be. I will tell you that right now. Well, it takes a while. There are guys that never come back from that. So, I mean, it's a rare injury too. So,
that seems to happen to Chiefs players. Hill with his shoulder, clavicle,
right?
Mahomes with his knee. Like weird injuries just kind of happen.
You have a very good point, Stevie. At least he can't do the show and super chat the show, or he'd never get anything.
I was about to say.
Robert Crane, welcome to our memberships. I'm glad that you're here. I hope that you enjoy them. Please give me feedback on the member tabs or in the community tabs of what you guys like and don't like. Let's see. Why is Clyde not showing up to OTAs? That's a good question. I don't know. I do feel like he could be using the work, especially in pass pro. I'm guessing it's a family thing. I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little weird. I'll give it to that because second-year players typically you should be at OTAs, but I guarantee you'll be there this week.
Right now, Julian, I don't agree with you. I don't think Hughes is going to be on the outside with Ward there. If Ward pulls something strange and decides not to show for camp, maybe. I think more likely you would slide Fenton out like Dan was talking before and let Hughes play in the nickel. I think he's better in there.
It makes more sense.
But again, that said, when you get with Merritt and Sam Madison, those are quality coaches. It's not a coincidence that when Breesy signed elsewhere, he shouted out his coaches because they helped him be better. You could see a resurgence of Hughes back to I won't say he'll reach his potential pre-draft because it was pretty dang high, but you might see him become a drastically better player.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. And
that's nothing against Zim. His staff is pretty good too, but Zim's not the guy that's hands-on anymore with the DBs. Yeah. So, okay, we're gonna wrap it up here, you guys, because Jake is
29,
but still, you're a baby. Good Lord. Oh, I'm feeling old, you guys.
It's not my fault.
Oh, it's not your fault at all. Not at all. Cole, you're doing great. I'm still well ahead of you though. So yeah, that's it. That's the super chat. So we got everybody taken care of. We hope we answered your questions. Dan, I'm glad you're able to make it on. And the room looks pretty good so far.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be actually in my own room with a desk, a chair. Soon it's going to look very much not just a white wall. So it's happy. I'm happy.
Happy birthday, Natalie. Glad you're here. That's going to be fun. And okay, one person in the room's got me. There we go. But no, have a great day. I hope that you enjoy it. And you guys, we have content for you. Dan's got some reviews coming. I got some things I should have tomorrow mornings, like quick hitter. So hit that before work if you like. And then Seth will be back on Thursday. So we're getting back into the rhythm. It's going to be an interesting summer. We'll have updates for you from camp when we know. Thank you for joining us. Thank you all the super chatters and all the new members. We appreciate you, and we will talk to you next time.